Nigeria House Davos 2026. We'll explore how African projects can position themselves as globally investable while remaining locally impactful. Please welcome our moderator, Cathay Alara Latiwa, and our speaker, the Director General of the National Council on Climate Change. Round of applause, please. Thank you as they come up. Cathay Alara Latiwa is a change maker and sustainability strategist with a background in international public law and over 15 years of experience in governance, development program management, and strategic partnerships with international organizations, including the UN, agencies, and the European Union. She is co-founder and CEO of Build Her a Future Circular Academy and Consulting. She is also supporting African women and youth-led circular and green entrepreneurs and advises public and private sector actors on climate finance, ESG credibility, carbon markets, and inclusive energy transition through bankable, locally grounded solutions. I'll be handing over to our wonderful and able moderator, Cathay, who will be introducing the Director General. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to welcome you today to this fire chat on financing the energy transition. This is an honor to have an amazing, outstanding women in climate who take her time to join us today. We are going to talk about capital, carbon markets, and ESG credibility in Africa. Today, we will explore how climate capital accelerates African clean energy transition and also importance of the credibility, innovation, and inclusion in making this transformation sustainable. I'm delighted to introduce our distinguished guest, an outstanding leader in climate finance and environmental law, a strong advocate for women's inclusion and entrepreneurship, and the Director General of the Nigerian Climate Change Council, Mrs. Tenyoye Majekoduni. Excuse my pronunciation. Director, welcome to the stage. She brings deep insight and practical experience in advancing sustainable investment and climate action across the continent. From your perspective, leading Nigerian Climate Authority at the National Council on Climate Change, what makes an African carbon on transition project generally investable today, and what immediately raise red flag for global investors? We know, General, that you just come and sit, and we are very happy to have you in Nigeria. Today thinking that I'm a Nigerian as I've been living 5 years in Nigeria. So being a Nigerian today and being a woman, I'm happy to have you as a leader. So what's your take on this?
Thank you so much, Kathy. And for stability to come through, you need to have structure. If there is no structure, you're wasting your time. And from us, in terms of just being a fossil dependent nation, there's a lot of conversation about the energy transition. What exactly is it? But for me, so far as there's a plan in place, things will always work out. And so if Africa doesn't need any more ambition, it actually needs investable certainty. Because capital doesn't flow through potential, it only flows through trust, as you just quite rightly said. And as such, trust comes when there's structure. And being a lawyer, it's very important, structure. And I'm so glad that since I started office on the 1st of August, we've done incredible things to make sure all our climate architecture and our structure has been in place. We first of all started with the NDC 3.0, which we had a deadline of September 22. And you won't believe it, September 21, we submitted our NDC 3.0, but the first was African country to actually submit. Thank you so much for that. The second question was then, how do we then structure our pipelines and our policies? We have a Climate Change Act of 2021, which gave birth to my office, which is the National Council on Climate Change, and it sits in the presidency. Our president is our chairman of our council, and the vice president is the vice chair of our council. But under this council, we are supposed to be the highest head level for climate in Nigeria. And to be able to do that, you need to have certain policies in place. We do have the Climate Change Act of 2021, which governs us, but we didn't have a framework to finalize a lot of things, especially regarding how do you generate revenue, which could come from carbon markets. And so the first thing we then started after we submitted our NDC 3.0 was in October. It was a challenge to start putting in place our framework. And 31st of October again, just before we were leaving for COP, as COP was we started the journey to COP from the 2nd of November. And this year, one of the main things I wanted was to go to COP with our policy framework intact. And lo and behold, after a lot of back and forth, we made it. On the 31st, we were able to launch it, and the Vice President approved it, Mr. President approved us, so that's how the carbon market framework was launched.
That was my next question about the COP this year. What was the outcome? But I think we can about it quickly. Yes, nice way. So, apart that framework, what did you bring back from COP? We know that there were in Addis also the African Climate Summit, and then you went to COP. What did you bring back to Nigeria?
We brought back quite a lot of things. Granted, it was it was meant to be an implementation COP, and I think they actually achieved that, because the whole idea has been this is our 30th COP. So, and I've been going to COP since COP 12, and the journey has been long. But I'm glad that we've moved from talking to implementation. And that was the main challenge, one of the main things this COP wanted to achieve. And I'm glad that we're able to. For instance, the loss and damage was operationalized in COP29. Now in COP30, we've already started, I know the development will already started next year, but in terms of operationalizing it, we've already started the process. In terms of adaptation and our GGA, all that was also finalized at COP30. A lot of things on finance and NCQGs was also finalized. So we are moving in the right direction, and I'm glad that the implementation of all these things that we've been talking about for a few years are now coming to fruition. Because really, as we all know, the world is changing globally. We can't afford to keep talking. Now it's really time to get busy and get
I love that, because we are here, the term is spirit of dialogue, and I like the spirit of action, implementation. So we are not here only to talk about what we want to do, how we want to improve the situation in Africa on this subject, but what are we taking back as collaboration and partnership. So that's amazing. Especially, I wanted to understand your perspective on, as you said, on going from being activist or talking about all the yes, and now that you're in governance, is there any difference, or what are you making as change from one point to another?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, policy is key. If you don't have the policy, you're not going to drive any investment. So once your policy is in place, it's now the implementation. And that's one of the reasons why we deliberately didn't call this carbon market a policy. We called it a framework. Because we've seen from experience, once it's a policy, it just stays on the shelf. We needed to so we came up with a manual of procedures as well as a framework. So you know how to execute. So we are working hard to fully digitalize, and we're leveraging technology in terms of the implementation, so that there's clear strategy, there's transparency, and people know how to go about accessing carbon markets. And we were able to do the second launch with our president in Abu Dhabi in January, just a few days ago. And that gave us the final approvals, and so to go ahead and now leverage tech to make things a lot more streamlined, so that the average project developer, as well as compliance carbon markets, they can go in and do it themselves, all with a touch of a button.
So my next question is, Nigeria as African place in the global capital markets. We know that today we are talking about finance. Investors today are choosing between jurisdiction and not just projects. So how should Nigeria and Africa, of course, we know that today we have the first Nigerian house, and we are hoping, we know that there is South African house, but Nigeria is representing West and Central Africa. We have Makutano, the Central Business Network here, representing Central Africa as well. But how do you think Nigeria and Africa can be more friendly, but also can position itself in this sector in the world we are doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. Biggest barriers, as we say, is usually structural and not really financial. It's always the complex application processes, high transaction costs, slow approval times, and once we're a bit deliberate, I think we need to be a lot more intentional in how we are going to create the systems to drive all this traffic out of Nigeria in particular, and also for the other African countries. Another thing is also, as the buzzword we all know is multilateralism. So we all just try and find ways to work closer together and remove as many middlemen that would reduce the bureaucracy and the red tape, so that we can actually drive this action and this change that we're trying to achieve in a shorter time. So the world is becoming a lot more, how do we call it now? We all know the buzzwords that are going around. So we need to find, it's more intentionality, I would say, and being more transparent to be able to allow for this growth to occur in a faster way. Those are my key in terms of the smaller women-owned businesses, and because there's a challenge. I beat you to that, right? You're going into that.
Yes.
So maybe I wait for you to ask it.
Yes, I think maybe we should change. Change our city. Yes, please talk. We know that you are passionate about entrepreneurship, women inclusion, especially in energy and climate space. So please tell us what you've been doing on that sector.
Thanks so much for that. As a woman myself, I know the challenges, and I've been in the space of climate for about 19 years now. I did my master's in 2006 on carbon markets in particular, and then I started several other businesses. So I'm a serial entrepreneur on the side, and I know the challenges women face to access finance, to access grants, to access anything. You have to literally be more than intentional. You have to be a superwoman, in fact, to still do that and balance all the other jobs a woman has to wear with several hats. I have 3 children, so I know what it's like. But going back to that, what I have seen since inception was to be more open-minded and also find ways to plug opportunities. In September, we signed a tripartite MOU with the Ministry of Solid Minerals and a German think tank called GGG. And the aim was to be able to get more funding for entrepreneurs in general, women as well. I was pushing for the women aspect, whereby grants, I'm going to break it down because I don't want to use too much finance terminology, but it's just basically using first loss capital from grants. So basically using grants that would have otherwise been given out I use it to guarantee loans, so that financial houses will be more keen to give out loans to these women and use that grant as a first loss capital in case to de-risk all these projects in clean energy. And because Solid Minerals Ministry had lithium in there, there's a correlation with solar businesses and using lithium. There's a clean tech aspect in there. The investors as well, it would be nice for them to reduce some of these stringent rules they give these women, because it's impossible. Come with 10 years of statements and all these things. We have to find a middle ground. These are the things that I am hoping to push for. I've started it in my own little way, and conversations like this always helps to drive the conversation some more and make people to start thinking about it in that regard.
We have many investors, partners who love Nigeria, who would like to come to Nigeria to collaborate maybe with your council. What can you tell what is the message you are sending to them today?
Nigeria is ready for climate business. That's what we've been preaching since we had the framework approved last month. We are ready for climate business, and we're looking at as many investors to come in. Our policy is in place, our climate architecture is ready, so we are ready.
So she said she's ready, she's waiting for you. I hope you will run all toward her after the conversation. Our last two questions. So, if you were advising the CEOs and investors, what would you say to them about the mindset to come to Nigeria to shift this discussion today about financing the energy transition?
Say climate capital doesn't flow at scale to good intentions. So it flows to bankable, scalable, and risk managed opportunities. I also say we need to stop treating climate as CSR, cost, and start treating it as a core growth market. So that's one of the main things I'm hoping to really push and trying to make other project developers to start seeing it that way. Because if it starts from there, then it will catch on to everyone else.
What were your objectives coming here in Davos?
Well, it was pretty much to, one, just like I've been talking about, show that Nigeria is ready for business. We're trying to improve our relations with investors and let, the community and even global know what we've been doing. And also to let them know our architecture is ready. So yes, we're ready to drive a lot more investments into Nigeria. That's one of our main things.
So Nigeria is ready?
We are ready.
And so that Nigeria is free now for the bank to come and invest. So what's your last words to the people who are here today? Last sentence, then the last word?
So a lot has been said. I don't want to keep repeating, but one of the last words I would try to say is Africa doesn't need more climate pledges. Africa needs more climate deals. And so bankable projects, that is the next thing. We've done the framework, we've done the policy, we now need to start seeing more deals coming out of Africa. And we can do it. We will do it. We have no choice. This is the time. Africa's time is now. And so capital flows through certainty and not sympathy. So we need to get our books, our whole line, our house in order to be able to access and to show that we are certain. Because without this certainty, we're just, we're wasting our time. And nobody has time for that. So Africa is ready. So let's do this.
And your last words?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. That note, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. And Director General, we hope to see you soon in Africa, in Central Africa. DRC is waiting for you. Nigeria and DRC are the next country for Africa. Thank you.